Are America's farmers still Trump's biggest supporters? Because he's putting that loyalty to the test. 78% of farmers voted for Donald Trump, but his tariff policy is hitting them harder than anyone. Corn, soybean, and wheat prices are sitting at their post-pandemic lows. Soybean sales, the worst they've been in 20 years, because China has not bought a single bushel since May as a function of China's reciprocal tariffs. Meanwhile, costs are exploding. Fertilizer, farmers' biggest expense, is up 35% this year from tariff pressure. And labor costs rising fast as immigration crackdowns shrink the workforce. Revenues melting, expenses surging. Trump's newest idea is taking some of the tariff revenue and bailing out the farmers. He also had to bail out the farmers in 2018 when China responded to his initial tariff policy. Can Trump maintain his most loyal supporters even though they wound up at the epicenter of his tariff skirmish? Let me know your thoughts, particularly if you're a farmer.
So I got a lot of grief about a post I did where I said I think it's hilarious watching these farmers cry over losing their family farms after voting for Trump. And I guess hilarious is the wrong word. It's more cathartic to see MAGA voters have to suffer through Trump's policies like the rest of us. Because, I mean, come on, they had to get bailed out Trump's first term. They should have learned then. He did a tariff war with China and there was a farmer bailout. Anyone remember that? You know, and then they voted for him again in 2020 and they voted for him again in 2024. And here we are, a bunch of them are losing their farms. But guess what? They're not losing their farms. Trump is going to do another farmer bailout. He's going to spend between $10 and $50 billion to bail these farmers out. And like, what does that even mean? They're still going to have to pay a lot for all their equipment because of the tariff wars. And because of the tariff wars, now China is buying all their soybeans from Argentina. Are they going to start growing different crops? How's he going to find people to buy these crops that want to pay the tariffs for it? Or is he just going to bail them out every single year? You know, when I say it's hilarious, what I mean is I want these people to suffer for voting for Trump. So they learn that the Republican Party doesn't care about anyone that's not a billionaire. They don't. All they care about is tax cuts for the rich. I mean, look at this government shutdown. They want to cut off health care to millions of Americans to give billionaires a tax cut they don't even need. Trump is not your friend unless you're a billionaire. Period.
So I saw that the soybean farmers in the state of Arkansas are having a find out phase. And you know what I hate to say? I told you so. No, seriously, I'm really sick and tired of the fact that the left keeps having to say, I told you so. Because we didn't want anybody to suffer, okay? We voted for everybody to survive and thrive. And you voted for the suffering of other people. And here we are. You are actually the one who is paying the price and suffering. Because you can't sell your soybeans to China because what's that? Tariffs. You can't get that new farming equipment that you needed because of why? Tariffs. Didn't the experts tell you that? Didn't people warn you this would happen? But no, you let your internalized hate, racism, and misogyny override literal facts that were right there in front of your face that made you vote against your own best interests. And here you are, expecting a government bailout yet again. But you didn't want anybody else to get government bailouts. That's socialism, and you don't like that. So what makes you so different and so deserving when you voted against government money going to anybody who has stumbled upon a hard time? Why do you get it? What makes you better than other people? Again, I don't like that we are having to say, I told you so. Okay, I wanted you to do well. I wanted you to survive and thrive. But this is what you voted for.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing super fine and great. Wherever you are watching this episode from, thank you for clicking onto this video. So, farmers in America are literally crying. Some of them are even filing for bankruptcy. Some of them are begging for hands out and bailouts. Some of them are even saying they've never experienced the thing they are experiencing in this regime ever before. But it turns out that the people don't care. Yeah, to be specific and precise, the people who warned these people that such kind of things were going to happen. So we've seen their fellow white folks calling out these MAGA farmers and telling them, we warned you, but you didn't want to listen. And now everyone in America is suffering because you voted for the same person. He has imposed tariffs on your farms. He has imposed all those policies that are affecting you more than us who warned you. We warned you that such kind of things were going to happen. You didn't want to listen. And now Trump has imposed these things. First of all, he began by taking away all your workers. ICE raids were coming to your work farms and taking all the immigrants that were working on your farm. Now you don't have any workforce, so your crop has no one to attend to, which means no one to attend to your work, to your farm, no work done, no income. A second, he imposed these heavy tariffs. The tariffs are affecting farmers. Other countries are not buying your crops your crops that you are producing. And as if that was not enough, he didn't bail you out. He went ahead and bailed out Argentina. You see, such kind of things, the people are calling out these MAGA farmers and reminding them that please cry in silence, because we tried telling you that such things will happen under this regime if you vote for this man, but you didn't want to listen. And now, since they're happening to you, please be humble and take your humbled by. In this video, let's watch these folks, these white fellas, white people, at least calling out and telling them, these MAGA farmers off, that we warned you, but we didn't want to listen. And hey, if you're new here, remember to subscribe to this channel, and then let's keep on watching, and then I'll be giving my commentaries at the end of this video.
Well, the Democrats were right again, and it turns out the farmers of Iowa are completely shit out of luck, specifically because they voted for Trump, okay? Because his policies have double fucked them, okay? Starting with USAID. Now, you might say, why would USAID be connected to the farmers of Iowa? Well, turns out that USAID was one of their most reliable customers. We were spending up to $2 billion every year buying soybeans from them and then shipping them overseas to feed poor, starving children. Until our Christian president got in office and he said, "What? We are sending food overseas to feed hungry children? For Christ's sake, shut that down immediately." Well, in doing that, they have now taken away the second largest, most reliable customer for these soybean farmers in Iowa. Now, who was their number one customer? Well, it used to be China. And up until recently, they were buying 60% of our soybean exports out of America. But Daddy Trump came in and jacked up these tariffs, started a trade war with China, and now these soybean farmers have lost their number one customer. So now these soy boys are sitting on a Scrooge McDuck level of soybeans with absolutely nobody to sell them to. And that is why they are begging Daddy Trump for a bailout and for him to cut this shit with China so we can get rid of these tariffs. You know, it's amazing. Trump supporters put him in office hoping that he would just ruin the lives of all the people who they hated. But they didn't realize that Trump isn't on their team. He's on Team Billionaire, not on Team Farmer or Team Trucker or Team Everyday American. He only cares about rich people.
This is terrifying. What? Farmers across America are going bankrupt. They're calling it Farmageddon. Good. Serves them right for supporting Trump. You still don't get it, do you? Where do you buy food? The grocery store? And you think food prices are bad now? Just wait. Tariffs have decimated farmers. What do you think happens when you start ridiculous trade wars with other countries? They get mad? Yeah, understatement. China's the world's top soybean buyer, and soybeans alone brought in $13 billion for American farmers last year. Now those sales, almost all gone. Yikes. And that's not all. These immigration crackdowns, some farms lost 100% of their workers, all kidnapped by ICE. Now, how do you pick food without workers? You can't. It's rotting in the field. Whoa. Plus, seeds, feeds, machinery, potash, pesticides, all more expensive than ever before. Then you add on high interest rates, and what do you get? Farmageddon? Bingo. And farmers were already 3 times more likely to die by suicide. Ugh. And don't forget, in 22, JD Vance's venture capital firm heavily invested in Acre Trader, an app specifically designed to buy up farmland for cheap and sell shares to investors. Wait. So the goal is, want to control people? Control their food. So what do? Thoughts?
Hey, MAGA! Is America first when Trump takes billions from Americans to rescue a collapsing foreign economy? Yeah, not so much, huh? Did you know Donald Trump wants to send $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their far-right president, Javier Milei? Trump calls Milei fantastic and a friend because Milei campaigned on Trump-style slogans, rails against the left, slashes social programs, and even waves chainsaws at rallies to symbolize cutting government. He's basically a South American MAGA mascot. Argentina needs the money because the country is in an economic freefall, with record inflation, a collapsing currency, and debt payments it can't cover. Milei's answer has been brutal budget cuts, higher gas and electricity prices, slashed food assistance, frozen wages, mass layoffs, and gutted schools and hospitals. In other words, Milei is making life harder for the poor, enriching the wealthy, and calling it reform. It looks exactly like Trump's playbook. Critics say Trump's bailout isn't about stabilizing Argentina. It's about helping his political twin before an election. This isn't a simple, we lend, they repay deal. It's the U.S. taking on financial risk to keep Milei afloat. If it works, markets calm down. If it fails, U.S. taxpayers lose billions. This isn't America first, it's Argentina first. $20 billion could feed 9.2 million Americans for a year on food stamps, build 80,000 affordable homes, take 1 million homeless people off the street, cover disability benefits for 1 million veterans, provide Medicare coverage for 1.3 million seniors, keep 2,000 hospitals open, fund childcare for 1.7 million kids, or pay 308,000 teachers' salaries for a year. Sorry, Americans. When Trump needs to stroke his buddy, it's Argentina first, Trump second, and regular Americans somewhere around 37th. Right between Ivanka's next trademark and the next MAGA sneaker drop. Yeah. Well, Trump, I hope you're having the day you deserve.
Let me introduce you to... Oh, like this is getting so out of control. Let me introduce you to a man by the name of Sean Lupton Smith. This is him in all his glory. That's an e-bike. You want to know why he's being pictured by an e-bike? Because Sean is a domestic e-bike assembler, but he had to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Sean is a South African born who came here as a restaurateur and started EBC 14 years ago. He said, I thought Trump would save the day. But in fact, our tariffs on our parts went up from 25% to 55% and more, he said in an email, and it killed us. On top of finance charges and other factors, but competitors are skirting tariffs through other countries under invoicing and selling direct and often below cost without legitimate certifications. And Sean here is just trying to follow the rules and instead has to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy because he trusted a man who lied to their faces and said tariffs are a good thing. Yeah, if the money is going directly back to the business owners, but it's not, friends. It's not. Same with farming. Same with every other company in this country. Nothing is 100% domestic, and every single company is going to feel a hit. Look at these farms. Look at these farmers in other states. They are losing their mind looking at the government like, where's my socialist handout? Save me. And I can't say I blame them. I just wish that we could do that for healthcare too. Anyway, I digress. Good luck to you, Sean, who's now switching from it being an e-bike assembler to working on e-bike safety.
American farmers have destroyed themselves by voting for this Trump regime. Their hate for so many groups of people that they have learned to demonize allowed them to vote themselves out of business by voting for Donald Trump and today's MAGA Republicans. I don't know what else to say. We already know how the American soybean farmer was decimated. This fall, China, their biggest customer, placed exactly 0 orders for soybeans from American farmers because of Donald Trump's regime's tariffs. They went to Brazil. We all saw the videos of the farmers crying in Arkansas, I believe it was. Please, Mr. President, we love you, but come save us. Oh, you guys, it just gets so much worse. So you know how our $20 billion in taxes, yours, Mr. Farmer, and mine, was just snatched from us and given to the leader of Argentina to help keep their version of Donald Trump in power? Your 20 billion and my 20 billion? This was screenshot on our Department of Treasury's cell phone from our Department of Agriculture. Ready? Finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel. but this is highly unfortunate, the text said. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. And he responds, Besant responds, on a plane, Scott, but I'll call you when I land. You guys voted for this. The Democrats who y'all hate so much, you've been programmed to hate your fellow neighbor, your family members. You guys voted for this. We warned all of you because we're not in a cult. We could see how these decisions affect businesses, affect our farmers. We were fighting for farmers, telling you don't vote for this, and you voted for this. Your tax dollars, this Trump administration just used to fuck you even further. Mr. Soybean farmer and grains. This affects a lot of other farmers, not just soybean farmers. Anybody who harvests and sells grains to China. Here you go.
So as you can see, it is very clear and very safe to say that some of these MAGA farmers, they are literally regretting their votes. Yeah, because they've never experienced such things that they are experiencing right now. Because the recent one, for example, being that these farmers, some of them, they are filing for bankruptcy. Why? Because they don't have money to run their farms. There are acres and acres of land. They don't have resources to run their farm, not to mention workers that the eyes freezed. Now, due to lack of resources, you can't run something. So they are filing for bankruptcy. And those who are not filing for bankruptcy, they are requesting the regime to at least provide them hands out, to bail them out so that they don't file for bankruptcy. But instead of the administration doing that, they went ahead. For example, soybean farmers, they weren't bailed out. Instead, Trump took $20 billion and bailed out Argentina. Argentina was the greatest competitor of soybean farmers in the United States. Now, you remember when Trump's policies came in, so no country is buying, the countries that were buying majority of the soybeans, were buying from majority of the soybean farmers. Let's say, for example, China. China was buying up to 60% of soybeans from America. But now, due to Trump's tariff, China is not buying any soybean from soybean farmers in America. It has relocated to other countries where tariffs are at least negotiable. Countries like Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. Since Argentina was the greatest competitor, instead of Trump bailing soybean farmers in America, he went ahead and bailed out Argentina, their competitors. You see? So this is making these farmers even more angry and more angry and more angry day by day. They regret their votes because also, as you've seen, these people are saying, we warned you. We told you that if you vote for this man into office, he will destroy you. He will make you file for bankruptcy. Please don't make us suffer through your votes. But they didn't listen. And now everyone, not to mention them, is suffering because of that, because of their votes. They voted for a man who was already in a billionaires club, a man whose interest is just based on billionaires like the president of Argentina. They are buddies, of course. So instead of bailing his people, he went ahead and bailed his fellow billionaire. So these farmers are literally regretting. But all we can say for now is that these are just some of the few consequences, some of the many consequences of your votes. You voted despite the fact that these people tried to warn you, but you went ahead and voted for it. Then you just embrace the pain of your vote. Just hit your humble pie, and at least you are just seeing the consequences of your votes. You made your bed, lie on your bed. You guys tell me what you think about these farmers who are literally crying and asking for help, and yet the people tried to warn them. They didn't want to listen, and now they are crying, suffering, and going bankrupt. Tell me what you think about them, guys, in the comments. Let's have a discussion and see you in our next episode.